The 3 traps I'm going to show you today are in the Caro-Kann defense. Let's go with trap number 1. The Caro-Kann defense happens after the move c6. You take the center like this. Your opponent plays d5. You can either put your knight here to defend this pawn, or you can push if you want to. But I would say the main moves are just to push in the center, or to play knight c3, or to take. But in this trap, this guy is showing you what happens after bishop d3. I know what you're thinking straight away. You're thinking it's low elo chess, and it's for beginners. I'm never gonna fall for this. But you know what? I checked this in the database, and people, grandmasters at 2600, actually played bishop d3. It's quite surprising, but definitely not the best move. And there is a cheap trick. The only thing you don't want to do, he played this, which allows to push the pawn, attacking the knight. The knight has to move, and pushing again, opening actually this very weak diagonal, because when he takes, now there is this trick, queen check, and the only move you can play is actually pushing the pawn. And yes, you can sacrifice the queen or you can take with the bishop. To be honest, it doesn't make any difference. Both lead to mate. And you can take with the queen if you want to. They are forced to take because it's a check. So, and when they take, you just take with the bishop and it's a mate. But wait a second. I mean, all this happened because after pushing the bishop here, putting the bishop here, you don't have to put the knight on f6. This is the only thing you don't have to do in this variation. Everybody, every good player knows that why not just taking the pawn? By the way, you don't want to be sustaining your center, usually with the bishop. You prefer to actually sustain your center with the knight. That's the reason why here, it was way better to take with the knight. When he takes, you take back. Let me show you why. Because if you do like what happened in this trick, and you do it with the bishop, when the bishop takes, you can gain a tempo now. Now you can put the knight on f6 because this bishop has to move again. He's attacked, right? So, and when he puts the bishop on f3, now develop your bishop on f5. And you're always going to do the same thing. This pawn is going to come here, this bishop here or here, and then you're going to castle. The knight is going to come here. Okay?
e4 c6, the Caro-Kann. We play knight f3 and d5, attacking the e-pawn. Knight c3 defends the pawn, pawn takes, and we take back. The 2 most common moves for black lead to a trap. Let's look at knight f6. This challenges our knight, so we move our queen to e2, defending it and subtly lining our queen up with their king. In order to defend their knight, they play knight b to d7.
Naughty. Yeah, that's checkmate. Okay.
Let's look at the other common move, bishop f5. People will sometimes play this because they want to develop their bishop before their knight so it doesn't get stuck. So we play queen e2. They play knight b to d7.
Naughty. I love this one. Naughty.
But wait, you can get to this trap even faster with knight c3 on the second move. Now after d5, we go straight to launching our attack with queen e2. The problem with this is if opponent pushes pawn, we will have to rotate back our knight, and we'll be at a small disadvantage. However, if they take, we take back and are already ready to attack. And of course, after knight b to d7.
Naughty. So here what happened? Again, the Caro-Kann. So when the guy plays e4, I can show you actually with the opposite color. I mean, changing the colors of the screen. Okay, so you play knight f3. So first of all, the main move here is to play actually take the center with d4. This you can of course play it. That's fine. Because you want to play these variations, it's called the 2 knights attack variation that you play. And here this guy is saying take in the center, which is main variation. There is absolutely no problem with that. Knight f6, and he goes queen e2. So you see what happens when he goes queen e2. It's lining up on your king straight away, and all he wants, the only idea of this position is for you to do this. So basically you don't cover basically this square, and this is checkmate. Yes, but okay, I'm not 3-year-old. I didn't start chess yesterday. So I just know that you want to put a knight here. For now you can't because the queen is controlling it. So why would I put a piece here, allowing you to actually play this? No way. Here you can just take the knight. When he does something like this, just take the knight. When he takes back, You develop now the knight. So you see what you're going to do. You take this knight here. When he takes, you come with the knight and you try to replace the other knight. You kind of swap both knights. You do like this. So he goes, not this. He goes, I take the knight, the queen takes, I go knight d7, you develop, and I go knight f6. And I'm gaining a tempo on the queen, because you have to move the queen again. The queen moves. Now I go queen c7 because, you know, you don't want to allow him to develop this bishop on this amazing diagonal because you're controlling it. And then your moves are going to be pretty automatic. You go g6, like this, to try and put the bishop there and castle. He goes, he puts the bishop there, bishop g7, castle, castle, and yeah, rook e1, bishop f5, and you see this position with black, you do not have any issue. All your pieces are developed, this rook is gonna come here, this one is gonna come here, and you're gonna play for an attack in the center with both pawns. The only thing you don't have to do, when you see this, and the knight here, okay, I repeat, knight f6, usually the main move here, guys, is not the guy plays queen e2. No, usually what they're going to do, they're going to take, and you take back. And yes, you have double pawns, but this is fine. He's totally okay. The bishop is going to come here, and you're going to castle. This bishop is going to go here or here. The knight is going to come on d7. To be honest, it's really not dangerous to play this with black. Not at all. Not at all. You just have to remember, take, play knight f6, and then whatever he does, take in the center. Even when someone plays something like this, you know he's an attacking player, and he wants activity. He wants like some dynamism, you know, in the position. So when you exchange pieces, you're kind of calming the position, and most people who love to attack, they react very badly to playing very calm positions when they're attacking players. But they're not Mikhail Tal who can adapt, you know? So usually, if I'm playing an attacking player, I try to reduce the amount of pieces on the board and play more positional chess, more quiet chess. Next.
This is how you can checkmate black in just 13 moves. You start the game with e4. Black responds with the Caro-Kann defense. You develop your knight to e2. Black challenges the center with d5. You advance your pawn. Black develops a bishop. You jump with your knight to d4 and attack the bishop. The bishop retreats. You push your pawn and try to ruin black's pawn structure. Black attacks your knight. You give a check with your bishop. Black blocks the check with a knight. You take the knight. If black recaptures the knight, you simply take the pawn with check and win black's queen and rook. That's why black brings the queen out and attacks both of your pieces. You develop your second knight and protect your bishop. Black takes your knight. You play the brilliant capture knight takes d5, attacking the black queen. Black cannot take your knight because the pawn is pinned to the king, and if black takes your bishop, you fork the black king and queen and win the game. Black moves the queen. You play another brilliant move with your bishop and attack the black queen again. Black cannot take your bishop because of the knight fork. Black moves the queen again. You bring your queen to the attack. Black takes your knight. Now you finish the game with queen a4 check, and after the king moves queen d7 checkmate.
Okay, so this one is a little bit more interesting, I would say, because on move number 2, white decides to not put the knight on f3, or to play knight c3, or to play, sorry for the arrow, or to take the center with pushing the pawn. They decide to put a knight here that usually is known as being a bad move. You know, they teach you because you're blocking the bishop. So I started actually checking, and I was like, what is this move? To be honest, I didn't know actually this move. But then you know what? You know what I saw? I saw that actually even Magnus played it. Actually even Garry Kasparov played this move. I was very surprised. And yes, there is a trap in it. So the Caro-Kann players are always going to play this. And now e5. Bishop f5, you put the bishop out, which is perfectly fine. And now knight d4. So you're attacking actually the bishop, okay? And you want to be pushing next. In the game he went like this, bishop g6. And now he pushed. These people are showing you that you should actually push the pawn. But you see here on chess.com that pushing the pawn actually is a bad move. Because you don't have to take. You don't have to. You're not forced. And also the fact that you have the bishop here, the bishop can recapture if he takes. Which means you're not losing your right to castle. So you don't have any problem. You can just recapture after. In the game, he went c5, and now he went bishop b5. So why would I push actually this? You're already attacking me on this flank. Why am I going to open the lines, push this pawn, so you can come in with your bishop, which, yeah, it's super deadly because now I don't have anything to cover these squares. I cannot come here, or the pawn takes is almost checkmate, so you have to lose the queen, basically. And putting the knight here, yes, is a total disaster because you take, and recapturing is a total disaster because you lose. But okay, here what you have to do, if someone plays this, let me remove all these arrows, what you have to do is simply continue your development on the other side. Put the knight on f6. Again, it does not matter when you have a bishop on g6. If he takes, you take back with the bishop. And then you will push. So just knight f6, and I just don't see how do they continue actually with white here. Because they take, I take back with the bishop. And now what? What are they going to do now? I'm threatening to take the center with my pawn. I want to put the queen here, the knight here, and most likely I'm going to long castle in this variation. But one thing is certain, is that I do not have any problem with black. First of all, this knight, you know, I'm threatening to push. So this knight will have to come back to control this square. Now I'm going to go like this, controlling this square. I want to push. That's what I want to do. So they go d4. I go queen c7. And this position is actually better for black because I will have this at some point. You're going to castle, and then the rook, you're going to put it on this square, and then you're going to push. And this is better. So the only thing you have to remember here, when someone plays this move and you have a bishop here, you don't have to take. Don't open your king like this in the Caro-Kann. It's super dangerous, opening all this diagonal. Now, I hope you understood how to play against people who are trying these cheap tricks on you. Learning chess opening traps, you know what I think about it. If you watch my videos, I just think it's totally worthless. But if people do, because they do like this kind of videos, when you start chess, you want to win in 8 moves, they're going to try this on you. Now at least these 3 traps, you're going to know how to react. See ya.